Welcome to Forte. Welcome back to Kia. We feel a little bit here, kind of like those of you that have school-age kids might relate to this. I have a daughter who's going to be a sophomore soon, and she's so excited. Now, of course, this is a big difference of when you have a daughter versus me being a son. She's so excited with getting her book bag together and her paper, pens, all the pen collection. I'm so invested in pens right now, I can't even tell you. It's that back to school anticipation. And we're feeling that a little bit here today as well, so hopefully that comes across. You know, we've been busy as heck here at Kia. We've got some great products to talk about, but we haven't been out on the road with you guys as much as we like to be as of late. That's about to change. And so we're really pleased to be here, really glad that we, this wave sold out really quick, so obviously you guys are the A-team. We're excited to do this, and again, that anticipation of that back to school kind of feeling, I think all of us in the room have a pretty strong sense of. So it feels good. It's nervous, but it's also delicious. So just real quick, obviously I'm James, I'm the Director of Corporate Communications, but the big excitement I've got to announce is the fact that I forgot to bring my clicker up here. Sorry about that. The big excitement is we have a presentation to make, and his name is Michael Cole. Michael is actually just joined us from Kia Motors Europe as our new COO and Executive Vice President. And I had the pleasure of meeting him at several international auto show events where he was very intimately involved in the presentation and the production and so forth. And so we just wanted to give you a chance to say hello and to meet him and get a sense of our new man in town.
Well, thank you, and thank you, James. I guess talking about going back to school, for me this is a new school. This feels a bit strange. So you're saying, who is this Brit, and what's a Brit doing here in the US working with Kia? Let me just, first of all, give you a little bit of my backstory, because I'm, well, actually, I think in about 2 weeks I'll be a 35-year automotive veteran. It was September '83 that I set out in this wonderful world of automotive, initially with a Ford dealer in London. In fact, one of the biggest Ford dealers in the UK, even by US standards. This was a dealer selling around 4,000 cars a year. So I had about 10 years working in the Ford dealer network in the UK before making the transition for the first time around early 1994 to Toyota. So my first OEM experience, I was 15 years with Toyota in the UK, and I literally, when I say I did everything, I think I literally did do every job in the organisation, working in each of the functions. That was financial services, the fixed operations, the after sales, sales and marketing, and I finished there as, for the last 3 years, I was with the company as operations director, responsible for Toyota's business in the UK. And that was then in early 2009, I took a call, which actually was the call that gave me this fantastic opportunity to make what I can genuinely say was the best career decision I ever made, which was joining Kia. And I took over the UK operation in the summer of 2009 and enjoyed three and a half years making a big transition for Kia in the UK, moving our position from what had been seen to us in the UK pretty much as a sort of budget brand to a brand that was able to compete in just a very short period of time with the established European brands and Japanese brands that really are pretty dominant in the UK market. I then moved to Germany, 5.5 years in Germany as a non-German speaking. Is quite a challenge, but I had more than 5 years running, as James commented, the European operation, and that was a fascinating challenge for me. There's 31 markets we're responsible for in Europe. This year they'll sell around 500,000 cars. That's an 80% growth from when I first went there in end of 2012. And once again, we had a strong program of transitioning the brand, putting them in a different place from where we were, when I first went there. But of course, things keep getting bigger and better. So I was delighted nearly 3 months ago to arrive here in the US to take over the same role, the Chief Operations Officer for Kia in this market. And this year we'll do close to 600,000 units, so it's a bigger business than Europe. It's, of course, for me, a more challenging business because whilst I say the business is the same, of course, there are some differences wherever you go in the world. So I'm enjoying already some of the challenges of working in the US market. But the biggest challenge I think we have, and the biggest opportunity, is to continue the great progress that Kia's been making here in the US. And it's with new product introductions like this for Forte that I really believe we can elevate our brand even further. So, I've come here with this challenge, wanting to work with the team to grow our sales, grow our share, but to very much grow our brand image and the reputation we have. I think back to when I joined in 2009 and how the brand was perceived. I was actually a bit surprised, if I'm honest, by how good the quality of the cars was. Coming from Toyota, I didn't expect such great quality with Kia. But since then, we've made great strides. Obviously, you're aware here in the US, we've picked up plenty of awards for our quality, our durability, our reliability. We've got great design. We win lots of design awards. We're continuing to put new technology into our vehicles, which quite honestly now puts us absolutely on a par with those established brands that we're looking to conquest sales from. And I think, and I really hope that when you drive this vehicle later today, you will understand why we believe that we're putting a vehicle right in the heartland of that compact sedan market that will enable us to conquest business and to support our continued growth. And this is, James has alluded to it, this is just the start of a really exciting period for Kia in the US. Unfortunately, I can't be with you for long today. I've got to get back to California. It's coming up to month end. We've got busy times planning for next year as well. But I'm sure I will get to meet many of you over the coming months and years as we show you more of the exciting products that we're going to bring to the US market. So I'm going to hand back now. Have a great day. Great to meet you, and look forward to seeing much more of you in the future. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to be, he's my new boss, so I better be careful about this, but I'm going to tell you why he's leaving tonight, or leaving early. It's because he lives near the beach, and he loves the California sunset idea. After living in Frankfurt for 5 years, those of you who've been there, it's not exactly the sunset capital of the world. So he's acclimating quite well to California, and we're really, really pleased to have him. As you can see, his passion for the brand, his passion for the product is really going to convey nicely into how we like to be here at Kia Motors America. So we're really pleased that Michael's joined us. As I referenced, we have not really been out on the road with you guys as much as we like to be. That's about to change in a big way, but we have been busy nonetheless. Obviously introduced the all-new Nero PHEV. We're here to talk about Forte. We've got the new K900 just around the corner. Worked on the refreshed Sorento, Optima, Sedona, so lots of product news. When you look at the scope and the range of Kia's product line, we're as full line as anybody else. Maybe short a pickup truck, but everything else is in the lineup and continues to get even better. As Michael referenced, obviously we're still rocking when it comes to IQS, so we're not even going to talk about that because you guys already know this stuff about the brand. But the Stinger is something that we still love to talk about because it's become such a vehicle of change, not only for the kind of impression and sensibility of the brand, but also for the customers coming in. A lot of our early buyers and test drivers are coming in with parking BMW M3s and Audi A4s and Lexus IS and ES and so forth. So it really has brought in a new clientele to the brand. So the Stinger effect, as we like to say, is still glowing strongly in our brand. Now, we're here for Forte, and so I know what you're thinking. Just what in the world do we need another sedan for? In fact, we had some good conversations about this last night during the dinner because some of our competitors are stepping away from the sedan market. We do have no intention of doing that because we think that we've got the recipe down pretty strong. Really proven by this fact here. You guys know this industry as well as I. How often do you see a generation of a vehicle almost double its sales at the end of its run? And I mean, while we are very excited about this new Forte and look forward to seeing your impressions of the car, we think it's a fantastic driver. It's got that Stinger effect, as I just mentioned. We're kind of sad to see the current generation go because it's been a fantastic sale. In fact, it was #1 seller for us, excuse me, in 2017. And I think it's kind of a combination of what Kia's fantastic at: value, unexpected performance for its, excuse me, for its segment. And also not being a Toyota. I think that has an attraction to a lot of people. Very candidly, I think that there's something that's kind of fresh and exciting and unexpected about the Kia brand. It's an association with our brand now, thanks to fantastic design, assumed quality, and now getting, thanks to Stinger, a driving ethic that has really helped drive a lot of sales for Forte. But, well, we say goodbye to Generation 2 and get ready for Generation number 3. That similarity with Stinger is no accident. From a design perspective, it's obvious: the long hood, the short deck, that fastback shape inside, the vents, the floating touchscreen. There's a lot of Stinger, we feel, in this car. It's not a baby Stinger, don't get me wrong. It's front-wheel drive, it's not rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. So I'm not trying to say it's, a carbon copy, so to say. But there's a lot of ethic in it. And I drove the course yesterday, and I hope, especially the third leg of the course, has some fantastic kind of sweeping corners. You're going to roll along next to a highway, and for those of you who've been in a lot of events, who wants to go on the freeway? And it's great because you're going to be on this road that's doing this right alongside a really boring, full of traffic road. And one of the things I think our team did a great job of is finding some roads that have a lot of different surfaces. I can remember when I was with GM, there was a ton of effort put into finding roads that really matched the car and that were complementary to the car. Shocking, right? In this case, we've set up a course that has some roads that have lots of different surfacing, get different tire noise and road noise feel, as well as just to see how the car responds. And I think thanks to two gentlemen, we have a car that really is going to shine in this environment. We have a lot of confidence. We have two fantastic sources of confidence. Going back to Stinger a little bit with Mr. Bierman, Albert Bierman, of course, and the fantastic work that he's imbued again into the brand. It's not just one car. It's that feeling that if the car is going to look as good as a Kia does, it should drive even better. So we're seeing that go across the entire line, and you're going to feel some of that today. And then, of course, we all know Peter Schreier, who continues to work magic, keeps bringing fantastic new designers into his team, and continue to make vehicles that will delight and exceed expectations from a design perspective. So we're confident. In fact, we're so confident we went ahead and did one of these.
There's been a lot of talk about the growing rivalry between the confident and fully capable Kia Forte and the Lamborghini Aventador. So it's time we put this feud to bed once and for all on a racetrack at a standstill. Starting with the doors. The Lamborghini's doors go up. The Forte's doors go out. Like doors, real doors. And it has twice as many. The Forte has an available smart trunk. The Lamborghini trunk has, well, an engine in it. The Forte has 15.1 cubic feet of cargo space, which can fit his and her yoga mats, an orchid, the globe, and a set of golf clubs you can't even see because it's obscured by all this other stuff in front of it. The Lamborghini has 5.3 cubic feet, which can, however, fit a small bag made of leather. The Forte has an 8-inch touchscreen. The Lamborghini does not have a touchscreen, but it has a knob and lots of buttons. The Forte has an available 10-way adjustable driver's seat. The Lamborghini seat, well, yeah. The Forte has optional wireless charging. The Lamborghini, it does not. The Forte seats 5 comfortably. The Lamborghini seats 2, with standing room for 3 or more. And while with its 700 horsepower engine, the Lamborghini does go a little faster, if, you're into that whole speed thing. But for $400,000 less, let's just say you could buy a Forte and a small villa in Italy. The 2019 Kia Forte. Confident? Just a little.
And speaking of confidence, now we're going to get into some of the technical details. I can sit down and finish my coffee, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Ralph Joa.
Thank you, James.
Oh, you need that.
Yeah, I need this. Okay, appreciate it. During the vehicle development process, we drove the Forte extensively. And we notice that there are a lot of compact cars out there, which is not surprising. They're great value, they're efficient, and for many people, it's actually the first car that they buy. In fact, if you ask people, or if you did research to find out what vehicle is it that you bought for your first car, what do you think that would be? That's correct. It's the compact car. So that's where people gravitate, is the compact car. And for the Forte, it's also the same thing. In fact, over 30% of the Forte buyers are first-time new vehicle buyers. Now that gives us a great opportunity to introduce this vehicle to a new set of owners. And they have the time, the experience, to get to know what we offer. The Kia Forte actually introduces more people to the brand than any of our vehicles. The Kia Forte is the introduction to the Kia brand. This third generation model, it delivers sportiness, efficiency, refinement, and technology to a much higher level than the second generation model. So let's get to know the Forte. Inspired by the Stinger, the Kia Forte has the inspiration that you see in terms of the long hood, the fastback profile, the short deck lid. And also, you'll notice with the Kia Stinger, in terms of the separation of the swept-back headlights, those are all SKUs from the Kia Stinger. This Forte is longer, it's wider, and just a tad bit taller. This sleek aerodynamic profile leads to coefficient of drag of 0.269. That is as sleek as another compact car, which is the Honda Civic. You may not expect that, but this car is as slick as the Honda Civic. Now, a couple of details that I'd like to point out on this car. One is the call point, which is basically where the windshield meets the front of the hood. We push that back 5 inches to give the impression of the longer hood. And then also, you notice the separation of the grille versus the headlights. Same thing with the Stinger. It gives it more of a pronounced feel to it. Another detail is also the separation of the turn signals, front and rear, from the main lamp assembly. The interior is also inspired by the Kia Stinger. It's clean, it's minimalistic, and it's also very modern. The inside is actually a very comfortable place. We've made improvements for the seating position for all the passengers inside this car. For the front seats, we made the seat frame lighter by 2 pounds. We've used different density foam to improve the comfort and support for the front passengers. And also, it's a subtle thing, but hopefully you'll notice it when you drive it. We made a change to the position of the center console. It's 31 millimeters higher and 27 millimeters longer. So when you rest on it, it actually feels natural. Just go ahead and try that during your drive. Now, how about the rear passengers? Well, what we did is we've increased the age point of the seat by 5 mils. It may not seem like much, but go ahead, hopefully you have an opportunity, sit in the back, and you'll see that being a little bit higher affords you a much better view from the outside. And then also, how about for your stuff, your cargo room? We've also increased the size of the cargo space. It's now 15.3 cubic feet. Okay, that's a number. I think, how much is that? A lot of space. In fact, it's about like the size of a trunk with some mid-sized sedans. It's also more room in there than your competitive cars. So there's a lot of space there for your stuff and also for the passengers. Now, when you're in there, we want to make sure it's a comfortable environment. So what do we have standard there? We have a dual zone full automatic temperature control for the driver and for the passenger. Again, this is something that no other compact car can make a claim to. So the Forte is definitely setting the standards, isn't it, for what a compact car should be. Now, we all have smartphones, and we all use it extensively. Then why is it that CarPlay and Android Auto, why are they not standard in the car? For many competitive vehicles, that is the case. But guess what? For the Forte, it's standard, even on the base manual transmission model. So we're taking care, basically, of the people who drive on the Forte. It's been a long time coming. I'd like to introduce to you a new partner of the Forte family, and that's the Harman Kardon audio system. This is an 8-speaker, 320-watt system, and you'll definitely enjoy it because on the USB that you have in front of you, there is music that's been downloaded. Go ahead, plug it in, listen to it. And also, Harman sponsored the hospitality for this event. Be sure to thank them for the good times that you'll also enjoy later today. There have been many surveys that have been out asking people what features do they like. They like technology, they like convenience, but what they also like are driver assistance features. Driver assistance features like forward collision avoidance, lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, driver attention warning, and forward collision warning. Consumers rate that highly. And guess what? For the Forte, we remain the standard. Yes, also on the manual transmission model. The powertrain is a second generation new engine, and we actually benefits from a few enhancements, one of which is we've adopted the cool EGR system. This helps to reduce pumping loss and improve fuel efficiency. Additionally, we've adopted the piston cooling jet, which oil spray to the bottom of pistons to help to cool the piston and also improve fuel efficiency. Another is using the high voltage ignition coil, again, for efficiency. So all this leads to a much better fuel economy. The transmission is not complete, the engine is not complete without the transmission. The transmission that we're using is our first CVT, designed in-house, built in-house. The intelligent variable transmission, and we like to call it intelligent, and you'll find out why, because it behaves like an automatic, but enhances also with the fuel efficiency of this vehicle. This is a chain type variator system. So a chain type is different than push belt that competitors use. The improvement over a push belt is up about 1 to 2%. Over a conventional automatic transmission, a chain type variator is about 45%. Much better, much more fuel efficient. And the MPG here for the IVT fuel economy model, which is equivalent to like an automatic transmission that you're familiar with, is 35 miles per gallon combined. And that's on the base model automatic. That's more than many of our competitors. It's an improvement of 3 MPG from the last generation. So with a more efficient transmission and a powertrain, we're able to raise the game and also exceed people's expectation of what you expect for a compact car. So now, I want to take a break and let someone else talk about the details of the intelligent variable transmission. So let's have a listen.
This SmartStream CVT consists of a belt pulley unit, forward reverse switching units, final reduction gears, and so on. This shows how the CVT belt pulley shifts. The CVT belt pulley unit changes speed ratio continuously from low to high range by changing the winding radius of the chain belt through pressure control of each of input and output pulleys. This continuous speed ratio change allows the vehicle to drive at the optimum engine operating point in any driving condition. This Smart String CVT has applied a chain-type belt rather than a conventional metal push belt type to the compact class CVT for the first time in the world. Our chain belt improves efficiencies in the low and high speed ratios over those of the metal push belt type. This is a primary factor to achieve best-in-class transmission efficiency. Chain belt noise has been improved by reducing the pitch of the rocker pin and by applying a sound insulation cover.
Now this transmission behaves like an automatic. So when you push it, you'll feel the shift that you expect from an automatic. There'll be some roads that you'll have an opportunity to experience. A couple things I'll point out on this. With this vehicle, you have a button right there called the drive mode, so left-hand side of the transmission. Now in the drive mode, there are 3 settings. There's normal, sport, and smart. You can also engage the sport mode by shifting the lever to the left. And from there, just like an automatic, you can shift through the gears, plus or minus. So you get that feeling. You go through the wide open throttle, it'll shift, it'll give you the sensation, it'll shift out for you. You can see the tach do all that movement. We've driven the car yesterday, and it behaves like an automatic transmission. Now, to deliver a better dynamic experience, we've actually made the chassis stronger. We're using 54% advanced high-strength steel. We've increased the torsional rigidity by 26%. At 54% high-strength steel, that's more than what our competitors are using. The Civic uses about 52%. And also an example in terms of what we've done to improve the stiffness is using a single door frame compared to the 2-piece setup that we had for the last generation. And then also to improve the NVH, the quiet feeling that you may not expect from a compact car. We've actually used lots and lots of adhesive, 105 meters worth. That's longer than a football field. Can you imagine on a compact car vehicle like that? And then also another thing that we did that you won't notice, but I'm sure when you drive it, you may say, hey, it feels quiet. We've actually used a thicker glass for the front door windows. The thickness we've increased from 3.5 to 4 millimeters. That's more than what our competitors are using. We've measured it. The Civic is using 3.6 mil. We're using 4. Every mil makes a difference. Now you're going to see this video of this car, and we actually did it in slow motion. Because if we actually did real speed, you probably would say, wow, the Forte can really do that? Actually, I'm just kidding. That's a real speed. It's just someone taking their time with it. Really, it can go fast. So what are some of the things that we did to actually improve the handling? Well, thinking like, really? Trust me. And then so, some of the things that we did in terms of geometry to improve the that riding handling on that is that we've changed the vertical position of the rear shocks to make it more upright, to better able to handle the imperfections in the road. And then also we changed the rear beam type to a tubular design to make it more stiff. Go out there, drive it with the transmission, powertrain, you'll definitely enjoy it, and I guarantee that you'll go many times faster than this if you want. Now you're going to ask, Ralph, what's this all going to cost? Well, for the price starts at $17,690 for the MT. Now for the base automatic, which is the FE IVT, it's at $18,590. That is only $690 more than the last gen at $17,900. For $609, what is it that you get? Well, you get the fully automatic temperature controls, the dual zone. You'll get standard Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You get the ADAS features, the driving assistance features that we talked about. You get much better fuel economy, a better ride. And also, what's really important for a lot of people want is that you get that big 8-inch screen with a backup camera. All that comes in for $18,590. You're right, our competitors can't match with what we're offering. Oops, actually, there's one more slide, but before this, before I introduce Derek, is that with this vehicle, we did some research on it, and we asked the Kia owners and the compact car owners what they thought of the Kia Forte. What they said to us is that this car actually surprised them and actually exceeded the expectation. And we have the video to prove this point. And the thing is, this was a static evaluation that these people did. You'll have an opportunity this afternoon to drive the car too. And we hope that you also feel this way. And hopefully in the afternoon, you can share basically your straight comments with me, because I'm really interested to hear what you think about the Kia Forte. Now, before we get into the Q&A, I'd like to present Derek Ty, who will give you some hints in terms of the operational issues of the Forte. Take it on.
So good morning, everyone. So I'm sure you're all very eager to get behind the wheel of the new Forte. So what I'm going to do is show you how to set up the launch control. Just kidding. So with the Kia Forte, I'm here to provide you some quick tips on how to become more familiar with the new Forte, starting with our Kia DriveWise system. Our Kia DriveWise system allows the driver to select their preferred operational setting. So simply by pressing on this button here using your right thumb, you go through the instrument cluster menu setting and select the user settings. And then from there, you would select the driver assistance. And then within the driver assistance, you can choose the lane safety, and from there you can choose whether you want the lane departure warning or the lane keeping assist. And then followed by the driver attention warning, where you can set the sensitivity of the system. And then the forward collision warning, it would allow you to choose between forward collision warning or forward collision avoidance assist, or FCA for short. Now, FCA is a system that automatically applies the brakes in the event of an impending collision to help the driver mitigate the situation. And then for those vehicles equipped with a smart cruise control, which is the launch edition, you would simply press this cruise button here to activate the system, set the desired speed, and then the following distance. Now, there are two key points to note on the smart cruise control operation. One is that you're able to update or change the speed setting using this button here to increase or decrease the speed. And the second one is that the operational parameters of the smart cruise control is above 20 miles per hour. So that means that in the event that the traffic or the vehicle in front of you slows down below 20 miles per hour, the system will disengage, alerting the driver to notify you that you will need to take action, whether you need to step on the brakes to slow down or stop, or to step on the accelerator to resume. And then from that point on, you would press the resume button here to reactivate the smart cruise control. As Ralph had mentioned, with the drive mode select, we have enhanced the drive mode select with normal, smart, and sport mode settings. So smart is our first application for the new Forte. It's an adaptive logic for the Forte. It automatically shifts from normal to sport mode setting depending on the driver conditions. There are two ways to access the drive mode, which is one is to press the button here to scroll through normal, smart, and sport. And then the second one is you move the shift lever from drive to S. Now, while in sport mode, it will increase the engine RPM and tighten up the steering wheel and put it in a ready to pounce condition in my roots. You can also update, you can also manually shift in smart mode, up or down, depending on the gear selection, and you can choose up to 8 gears in this mode. So over time, this manual sport mode will cancel out and revert back to automatic sport mode. And then if you want to cancel out of the sport mode, you can also just shift back to the drive mode. As James had mentioned, in the last third part of the leg of this trip, feel free to shift it over to smart mode to kind of feel it, especially through the twisties. And then over to the left of the center console or the instrument panel is our 4 switches. This is for the blind spot collision warning system. To activate it, you would simply press this button, and then there's going to be an indicator. And then next to it is the lane keeping assist system. Now, there's going to be an indicator if you want it on. There's going to be an indicator on the instrument cluster. It'll be in white with this shape in the instrument cluster. Once the vehicle detects the lane markings, it will turn green. And then there's going to be a green steering wheel icon next to it to notify you that the lane keeping assist system is active. And again, if you want to disengage the system, you would simply then press the lane keeping assist button to turn it off. Now, on all the EX trims, primarily the vehicles that you'll be driving, will have standard smart key and smart trunk. So the smart trunk allows the driver to walk up to the rear of the vehicle. Once the vehicle senses the smart key in your possession, it will beep 3 times, and then the trunk will pop up automatically. So you don't need to wiggle your feet to activate the smart trunk. If in the event that you want to turn on or off, you can also go to the user settings in the instrument cluster and then select door, and then you can turn on or off the smart trunk. And then lastly, we have for 2 new features, USB charging and wireless charging. So USB charging is standard on all EX trims. There are 2 ports. The first port is located in the front center console here, and then the second one is in the underneath the center console and under the armrest. And then the wireless charging, it's on the launch edition. You would simply place your any compatible smartphone device on the charging tray. And if in the event that it's not on, you can also go into user settings and turn the wireless charging on or off. Now I'd like to invite the team for Q&A.
Thank you, Derek. Rob's got more. Go for it, Rob.
One more thing I'd like to add is that on the pricing sheet, in fact, there's a launch edition. And so this will be for the first vehicle. It's a vehicle actually that many of you will drive. And the launch edition actually will not be available for another 3 months. Production is in November. And the launch edition is actually available exclusively in this fire orange color. And then a couple things also different from the car that you'll be driving. It'll have a dark finish wheel, same design but the dark finish. And then also the launch edition will have the rear spoiler, the car that you'll be driving will now. So those are just the 3 key changes in terms of the launch edition from what you're driving and what it will be for production.
Right. I'm not going to throw it at you. I'm going to throw it at Frank, but I'm not going to throw it at you. It's a microphone. Please, larger. No, you can't take it. Please, name and information.
Lauren Mix, his turn, her turn, on the her turn side of the production. Size of wheels. That's one thing you didn't mention.
Yeah.
The wheel thing.
So there's you have
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 different wheel sizes. All these things are actually in the USB stick. It has all the specs and all that. We have 15, 16, and 17-inch wheel sizes. So we have 3 different wheel sizes. The 15 would be your steel wheel, and the 16s and 17s would be the alloys. All right, Frank.
Oh, back here first.
Yeah.
Go.
What can you tell us about NCAP, IHS, and other federal safety ratings of this vehicle?
Sure. The vehicle obviously hasn't been tested yet, but when we design these vehicles, like we do with all the Kia cars, we always test them to achieve the highest possible rating. So that would be.
You hadn't been yet?
We don't have it, because I mean, we're about to introduce the vehicle, but then when it goes out to, let's say, being tested, we expect the highest test ratings for these
You
vehicles.
expect the highest test?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Would you explain again I thought you said that the smart mode toggles between normal, the smart mode toggles between normal and sport. Tell me about how that works. My assumption has always been that smart is oriented toward economy. Whereas this, how does that work?
Derek, you can go ahead and take that.
That's the, so the smart mode is a adaptive logic. It will actually learn the driver operation, so meaning that where in most driver conditions, it's going to be in normal where it's most efficient, and then when you're accelerating or need to, let's say, merge or switch lanes or whatever you need at greater than 50% throttle input, then that's when it will shift over to sport mode. And then it will revert back to the normal setting.
And what does the sport mode do?
The sport mode, what it does is that it increases the engine RPM and also tightens up the steering wheel.
That's all? No suspension?
Not
Just
at this
those two
time.
things.
Right, those two things.
Steering and RPM.
Yeah, usually you find that sport mode similar to like the other Kia vehicles.
And I noticed driving the car yesterday, and definitely the second and third legs, it will hold gear. I mean, go in some downhill areas. I had it in a lower gear to get up, or higher gear to get up to where I would need to be, and then coming down the other side, it would hold. Which is pretty cool for an IVT.
No, it is, and if you want to, you can shift it through the gears, right? Yeah.
It's all there. Right.
Brian Armstead, Paul Ryan and Associates. Sorry, this is silly for a second morning. You call the Forte the entry to the Kia brand. Is the Rio going away? I mean, what's the story there?
The Rio is actually basically from a price standpoint. From a price standpoint, that's like the lowest price. But in terms of like a lot of new vehicle, like first-time owners, in terms of first-time owners, people go to the Forte actually more so than any other car, including the Rio. So the Rio may be lower price, but if you're buying your first new car, people go into the Forte. So there's a distinction between that.
So that 117 is what you're getting at here.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So who are we passing this out to? Oh, there's one back there.
Hey, Frank Washington, from AboutThatCar.com. Just a simple question. When does this car go on sale, or is it on sale?
This car will go on sale later this month. August.
It's we already have shipments on their way to the dealers as we speak, so you would see them anytime now.
Is there an embargo?
Dave Stahl, Brian Armstead's personal driver. Is this a vehicle, would be able to pull this behind an RV? Would you be able to hook this up behind an RV and flat tow it?
Flat tow it. I don't think it tows it.
Can we ask one of the out you guys to help us with this?
Yeah, we have some gentlemen from our engineering group. Is he here? He's out engineering something. We'll get back. We'll get back. Yeah. Anyone else?
Who invited David?
He's got a great radio voice.
Right there.
Get around a 900.
Hi, Scotty Reese from the Girls Guide to Cars. Ralph, you talked about the makeup of the first-time buyer, and you went by that slide really fast. I didn't get a chance to take notes on that. Can you talk about, one word I did see was emotional. Talk about who the first-time buyer is and how the experience in the Forte informs their future car buying. What is it that they learn about the brand, and what do they bring to their next purchase?
So in terms of the first-time buyers, that could be people like who are Gen Y, millennials and all that. Millennials would be like the first time, and then Gen X could be like they had like a new or maybe a used car before they're coming in here. And I think when you establish a relationship, when we say emotional, there's the emotional things in terms of what really gravitates people towards the cars. And I think the emotional aspect of the Forte is that you first see is when you come in, is you see that big screen. Because that big screen means that it promises you a lot of things. And so when you look at it, you can hook up, for example, your phone, and you can actually be able to use the phone's function. You can actually use the mapping software and show it on the screen. And that really gets people engaged in terms of they really like the car. It's basically taking an extension of the phone inside the vehicle. And then also we have that Derek mentioned about, we have the USB chargers that people can use. And so basically they can keep up in terms of making sure that their cell phones are actually charged. So I think what really drives a lot of these people is actually their affinity in terms of technology, what they like and what they expect from a car. And we hope to deliver that with the Forte because we actually make the CarPlay and also the large screen standard even on the base model.
Yep, there you go. Incoming.
Where's this car?
Other side.
Where's this car built?
This car is built at our factory in Mexico.
In Monterrey.
Yes, Monterrey, Mexico.
Following the point of being made in Monterrey, Mexico, do you know how it's going to affect the new deal that the president announced yesterday?
No, that's still a work in progress. We're still trying to identify what exactly, is part of this new program, whether it, excuse me, there is even a new direction really set. So we're still reviewing this and we'll make adjustments as needed.
In terms of simply the pure comparison and competition, how does this vehicle relate mechanically and compare with Elantra, with the Hyundai Elantra?
So this car basically is built on the same platform as the Elantra, but there have been some improvements made to this vehicle.
It's better. I mean, come on.
It's a lot more rigid.
We're gym trainers. Is he here now?
Yes, it's a little bit more rigid in terms of that aspect of it. So there's been some improvements that we've made actually over the.
So this platform is the same platform as Elantra?
Yes, but there have been some improvements made to it that we benefit from.
Right.
Now, you don't have
Same drivetrain also, right?
No, it's different. Well, the engine's the same, but then transmission. So the IVTs are our first application of the Forte. The Elantra is still using the 6-speed AT transmission.
A lot of it's positioning too. I mean, the Kia brand is being set up inside the Hyundai Motor Group to be kind of more the unexpected, rambunctious little brother who can get away with a little bit more, as opposed to what Hyundai can do. And you can tell Jim Trainer I said that. I don't care.
That's how we.
Oh, good. Did you hear that, John? So yeah, we can take more liberties with tuning. Kind of lean back on Albert Bierman's experience. So drive the car and let us know. At least that's our perspective, but I'd love to know yours as well.
And just like James had said, that's how we approach our trim and packaging strategy in terms of we just basically not necessarily taking a page out of the book, but we just threw out the old book and started and created our own to help change perceptions.
The cooler, better dressed little brother. How's that? I just made that up.
So the one thing I do want to point out, so on the EX terms, for example, one of the things that we differentiate ourselves from the compact car segment is that our EX terms has standard heated and ventilated seats with the Sofino seating and far driver seat. So no other compact car in the class can say that. So meaning that we put the first class amenities standard on our terms and made comfort standard.
Will there be a new Forte 5, or are you just going to carry that one over?
So right now, we're just going to announce the sedan. In the future, we do have future news in Forte, so you have to stay tuned for that. But for today, we're just going to go ahead and announce the sedan.
Well, but for the time being, will the Forte 5 still be available?
There are 2018 Forte 5s still available in the dealerships, whatever, that's the remaining inventory.
Yet?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, we've got some really interesting things to share about as you saw from those sales numbers, the Forte is a very important car for our brand. And, the Soul has its place, the Stinger has its place, but Forte does real business for us, and so we've got some enhancements coming really quickly.
Will you be showing the Forte at SEMA this year?
We will. Brian, it's almost like you read my mind.
I did.
That scares me.
Seriously.
Scares us.
You know what's happening here.
Is there an embargo on any of this driving functions?
Time for a couple more. Anything else? I'm getting the word from Dave that he wants to drive the car, so he wants out the door. Either that or he has to pee. I'm not sure what it is. So on that note, all right. Again, real quick, one last slide here. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay. As pointed out, we've got EX and launch edition vehicles to be driven with. Please pair up and get your best driving partners, or the driving arrangement that goes on here in the Armstead group. It sounds exciting. The route book, I will say this, it's a busy one. You're going to be on some fantastic roads, but whoever you have as your navigator will be focused on their job. You'll see it's a lot of coming up to intersections, rights and lefts and so forth. Not in a bad way, I just want you to be aware of that. You're going to have to be on your game a little bit here, so maybe get an extra coffee in. Music is preloaded in the USB, which is this. Oh, and already in the car. Jay Joyer, ladies and gentlemen, always delivering value. It's unbelievable. And lastly, you know, we're kind of famous here for doing different contests. Thank goodness Nick Miles isn't here, otherwise I'd be getting hit by one of these right now. We're not doing a contest on this one, but it's Kia. We're always having fun. And so tonight at 6 o'clock we have something called the Forte Parte. For this, dress casually, dress comfortably. We are in Pittsburgh. If you're going to notice on the drive, there's a heck of a lot of Steelers, Penguins, and Pirate flags all over the place. They love their sporting events here. We're going to channel some of that here tonight. So bring your A game, food, drink, games, and of course, fantastic gifts if you're good at all this stuff from our friends at Harlem Card. So before Dave has an accident, let's go ahead and get out the door and enjoy the drive, everybody. Thank you.